So we're going to be talking about functions and parameter passing in this video, and just to recap, so I've got my Thonny app open, my Thonny IDE, and I've got two functions. So this is my first function. This def means that it's being defined. So it is these indented lines of code belong to function 1. That's what this tabbing in does. I've got another function here being defined, and if I want to actually use those functions in my program, I have to call them. So I've just deleted that. This is bringing them back. So here I'm calling function 1, and here I'm calling function 2. This calling means triggering them and making them run, and you can do them in any order as long as the function has been defined before it is being called. Then you're fine, and you can use it more than once. And you know, functions are incredibly powerful and useful programming concepts, because you can decompose your overall program into smaller subroutines. So that's a very basic function, obviously, and hopefully you're now familiar with the fact that you have to define the function before you call it, and that any lines of code that are in the function have to be indented like this. So let's move on. So have a look at this function here. So we've got a function called favFood, and notice it's using camel case naming routine. So camel case means it's got a hump in the middle, so it starts with a lowercase and the second word is indicated with a capital, but not the first. Anyway, so we've got favFood here as a function, but look, now it's got a parameter in the brackets. Okay, now what that means, if I run favFood, I can pass in an argument. So this is an argument here being passed into a parameter here. So when I run this program, when I call this function, it's going to pass in pizza, and then we can use it in our program, in our subroutine. So unsurprisingly, this is the output. Now why bother? Well, it means that we can use the same function, and we can use it and pass in different data each time, and this is obviously an incredibly simple example, but the idea, we use this a lot, where we pass in a value, an argument, into a parameter, and then we can use that in the function. So far so good. So I suggest we pause the game at this point. Pause the game, pause the video at this point, and can you make a function similar to this that says something like, you know, music, who's your favorite artist, who's your favorite football team, who's your favorite fruit, or for example, okay, and then use the one function and pass in a different value, a different argument each time, so it outputs 3 sentences like this using the same function but outputting a different value each time. So pause the video now and have a go at doing that. Okay, so hopefully you got your little test program working. Here's an example similar to the one that I just demonstrated. So we've got a function being defined up here. It's called favCheese. It's got a parameter called x, and that x is being used in a print statement. And we're running this function, we're calling this function twice, and we're passing in this argument the first time we run it, and this argument the second time we run it, and this is the output. You could have used, so plus is where you concatenate 2 bits of string together, which means just put them together. But you may also be familiar with using this, so you've got a variable in a print statement and you separate the string, the text, with a variable like that. Okay, let's recap. So here I have defined a function. Inside this function are 3 commands. Okay, they are inside the function because they have been indented like this. Okay, now if I run this program, nothing happens because I haven't called the program yet. I've just defined it. That means it's been placed into the memory. So to call it, we have to use this part of the name here. Okay, and you can see that it has output these three commands, these string commands, and we can use that function more than once. We can use it repeatedly if we want to. That's the whole point of functions. And you'll notice that in this example there is nothing in the brackets, so at the moment we're just using a function without passing anything into it. If we wanted to pass a name into it, we could do this. So you can see I've updated this now. I've put an argument in here, the name Bob, in speech marks, and that gets passed into this parameter here, a variable, and then we can use that in the function. So if I run this again and call this function passing this in, will it actually use that? Okay, so yes, it has used it in the function. And if I change this, if I run this function again, it will actually, hopefully, run the same function, but it will pass in different data. So this argument has been passed into this parameter when you run the function for the second time. And you could even use a variable as your argument. So you can hear now, I can say, put a name in, and it will pass the value we've assigned into that variable into here, goes into here, and then it can be used here. So if I run this program a different time, it will then output that in the subroutine in the function. Okay, I suggest you pause the video now and create or develop the function that you produced earlier to use a input statement that assigns a value to a variable, and then you use that variable as an argument when you call the function, and that goes into the brackets here as a parameter, so that you can then use that parameter, that variable, in the function. So if you pause the video now, have a go at doing that yourself, and then we'll carry on. Okay, let's do some bug fixing. So I'm going to show you a series of simple functions, and you can tell me what the problem is. So here's the first example. So have a quick look at that. If I run this, let's give us a clue. So it looks okay so far, but look, it's saying there is a problem with line 7. So what do you think the problem is here? So pause the video, give you a chance to think about it. Okay, so yes, the problem, as it says here, is with line 7. It is trying to pass a value x. This is the argument that is being passed into here. All this is fine, but the problem is we haven't defined x, so we don't know what's in x, because our input statement is using name. Okay, so we could either do that, and then if we run that, that works, or if we wanted to, we could use a more meaningful variable name, and then we could change this up here. It's the same thing. Hopefully this will work. Yes. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, I've got a function here called echo, and when I run the program I wanted to say hello 3 times, but when I run the program nothing is outputting. So pause the program, work out what the problem is. Yeah, this was just too easy. All you needed to do was call the function. We haven't called it yet. When we define it, it's not actually going to run it until we call it using this command here. Okay, let's do another one very similar. Instead of saying this command repeated 3 times, I've used a for loop this time. If I run this program, it's telling me there is an error. So that's the error message. What do you think the problem is? Pause the video, I'll give you a few seconds. Yeah, okay, so to do well in programming, to enjoy programming, you've got to really get used to understanding error messages. So it's telling you what the problem is. The problem is with line 1, and it's expecting a colon here. So its syntax error usually means there's a missing speech mark or a colon or something like that. So if we run this now, it is working. Okay, let's do one more. So I've just developed the previous one slightly. We're still using a for loop to repeat this command 3 times, but notice now we've got a name variable in the print statement, and that we have a parameter in the brackets here. So let's run this and see what happens. So it works for this one. You can see it runs this one here, but then we get an error message. So pause the video, see if you can work that out. Okay, so again, it really helps if you understand the error message that you're getting. So it's telling you there's a problem with line 6. So the problem is here, and it's saying there is a name error. Now if it says this, it's telling you that a variable doesn't have anything in it. It's never seen this variable, doesn't know what it's for. Okay, and it thinks this is a variable because there are no speech marks around it. Okay, so if you spotted that, well done. So this now means it is string, and if we run it, it will run the echo function and pass in this string into name, which allows it to run in this for loop. Okay, well done. And this is why I have used this symbolism in the title graphic here, because these little robots are trying to signify that functions are subroutines that you can call on to carry out tasks, particularly tasks that you are going to have to repeat many times. And we've also explored how you can actually pass in an argument as a parameter so that you can make that function output slightly different results each time. Okay, well done.